it was quite difficult for me to decide which philosopher I closely align with because there were many views and beliefs from these philosophers that aligned with parts of my own personal beliefs. But for the purposes, of this, I focused on John Dewey, simply because of just some experiences that I am going through currently in my life. I have a toddler. Currently have baby number 2 on the way. So just focusing on, that preschool setting of things that should happen prior to students' entry to public education or private education. And then a few things that, just would make a better learner in general. So I'll focus on the beliefs of John Dewey, some of the advantages of the progressive era, and the disadvantages. And then what do we see today in our instruction that reflects some of his beliefs and ideas from the progressive era. One of the things that he's known for is his views on reflection, the importance of reflection for students. It is important for students to figure out how are you as an individual contributing to society. So, and then aligning your instruction with the social changes, so the things that's going on around. One of the things that he emphasized was the importance of collaboration, getting students out there to interact with each other, and developing them socially instead of focusing on the academics. So some of the key things that I'll kind of share or look at is, the importance of learning through play, reflecting and critiquing your own learning, and then creating a democratic community of learners and how that affects instruction and the learning process for our students. As far as, being reflective and critiquing your learning, allowing students to be constructive, to voice how they believe that they're doing towards, meeting their goals, or how are they influencing change within their environment. Another thing that I think would be one of the advantages is it kind of eliminates memorization. I know that we've all experienced, that procedural mathematics. I'm a math guru, so procedural mathematics, learning how to multiply. Step 1 is to multiply your ones place and things like that, but making learning purposeful for children, making sure they have that conceptual understanding, and those things can be developed by making sure that students are reflective and thinking through that learning process. Progressive education also allows for active engagement and make sure the students are in tune with what's expected and what's going on. It also allows students to analyze their personal contributions. Most school mission statements require students, say that they would like students to be, productive citizens in the future or something along those lines. So that most mission statements talk about how students how will they impact students in the future. So one of the things that progressive education does is it prepares students, it teaches them from a very young age to think about what influences you are making on your community, on society, things of that nature. And it allows students to interact with their environment. Peer collaboration is key. Teachers should not be the only people instructing in their classroom. Students can learn from each other, and I believe that progressive education allows for that. But of course, with advantages, there comes disadvantages. And one of the things that critics worried about was if we're focusing on, building socially, then we're neglecting to identify academic needs. And then they thought that teachers would lose authority within their classroom. So those were two of the things that was noted. And then when those high-stake tests came, Beatty, who wrote an article, talked about how eventually kindergarten was no longer the grade for play because, testing was trickled down, the demands, the requirements were trickled down. So students weren't given that time in kindergarten to learn through play. Another article that was entitled Progressive Education in the 21st Century highlighted 3 schools that actually took on Dewey's approach to education. One, the smaller school, which was City and Country School in New York City, they had success because their school community was a small school, but versus a larger school in New York City, they did not have success because it was difficult to develop that community with a large enrollment. So they had small communities within their school, which it kind of lost the significance of Dewey's views of developing that community and sticking to instructing kids based on social changes. But some of the things that I see today that may be a reflection of some of Dewey's beliefs is project-based learning. That's one of the things that we use at my school currently, and it allows students to work through a task that's individualized for them, and then they rate themselves. So we do, plus if you're good, or, here if it's so-so, or down if it's not. It allows them to rate themselves and be reflective of their day every day. And then we have meetings with the students to talk about their upcoming goals and what things will be next, and what are some things that we can do that align with our academic standards. So I think that provides some of the beliefs of Dewey, because he believed that students should reflect and critique their learning. So I do believe that some of his beliefs and ideas are still around in education. Of course, there's probably many more, but I just think that it makes a significant difference if students are able to be reflective and actively engage in their learning process.